welcome back to the channel. This is Rideshare Buddy UK. My name's Kevin and it's Monday and I think it's the 17th, not too sure, but I think it's 17th of February. So today I'm doing a video on the February update for public EV charging, and I am now on my way down to the brand new Tesla station, Super Hub, at the Bridgend Designer Village. Now this opened, I think, at the beginning of this month. It's a little bit more expensive than the others in the area, the other public chargers, Tesla chargers. In Cardiff and Newport, you're looking at about 37p a kilowatt hour off peak and about 45p a kilowatt hour peak time. But Tesla has local pricing, so you don't always get a sort of set amount across the country. Now here at Bridgend, it's quite a lot more expensive than the other two. It begins at 44p a kilowatt hour off peak, and peak time it's 55p a kilowatt hour. So both off peak and peak time is more expensive than Ionity at 43p a kilowatt hour. Now, quite why these are so expensive, I don't know. Two possible reasons. Designer Village wants their cut of any profits, so they're charging a big rent or a commission or a percentage basis. Could be that. Probably a lot to do with that. Or it could be the technology that Tesla has bought out here, which is a bit more expensive than what's available at Cardiff and in Newport. Now both Cardiff and Newport are V3 chargers on a V3 charging box. This at Bridgend are the V4 chargers. I don't know what the charging box is. A lot of V4 chargers are still running on the V3 boxes, so they can only charge at 400 volt systems or 800 volt if you've got an onboard converter. And this is why the Ionity 5, when I charge at a Tesla, I can only get 98 kilowatt charge at a maximum. Now the new V4 charging cabinets can do up to 1000 volt, designed for the Tesla's Cybertruck, which isn't legal in the UK, and presumably, and the rumour is that the V3, the next Tesla model coming out, and the robo taxis are V800s, 800 volt systems. So the new V4 cabinets are coming out that can do up to 1000 if them switched on. No guarantees that they're going to be switched on. So I'll find out when I do a charge at these V4 chargers, which are great. Longer leads, I shouldn't need to take up 2 spots to charge up in. I should be able to have the lead long enough to charge at the correct charger. If I hit the charge and it hits that ceiling of 98 kilowatts charging, then I know them on the V3 charging cabinets, or them on the V4 cabinets that have been restricted to 400 volts. The rumour is that the V400s, the V4 cabinets, are going to be allowing 800 volt platforms to charge on them. So if I go above that 98 kilowatt and start hitting that 150, 160 kilowatt charging, then I know it's a V4 charging cabinet. So I'm going to give these chargers a good whack at getting up to a maximum that they can, which is quite cold, 6 degrees C. But I'm 21 miles away. I've got 38 miles on the clock. So by the time I get to the chargers, I should be down to about 10-15 miles range and about 8 or 9% charge. So I've got maximum charging capability, maximum speed for the cabinets to do it at. I'll take it up to 90%. We'll see how long it takes to get to 90% from wherever I am. And we'll see if we're on the V4 or V3 charging cabinets. But let's do a quick roundup of the pricing. Nothing's really changed, pretty much standard. The other thing is, of course, with these Bridgend charges at 44p and 55p. If you're a Uber driver and you got your free BP subscription and your Uber special rates, it means BP is cheaper than Tesla in peak time. BP Pulse, 49p kilowatt hour as an Uber driver, 55p a kilowatt hour peak time down here on the Tesla. So Tesla is beginning to lose that market edge in some situations, but more about that later. What other things have we got? BP Pulse. You now need to start showing your BP Pulse card when you're going for your half-price coffee. Evidently it's been quite abused quite a lot with people just walking in saying I'm charging, can I have my coffee? And others where mini buses have been booking in and everybody's going in for a coffee. So one half-price coffee per card is now on the board. And the woman I was speaking to said at the cashier, she was saying she thinks it's going to come to an end shortly. So no more half-price coffees at BP Pulse in the future. Who knows? But I'll certainly take advantage of that quite often. So nothing wrong with the pricing. Honestly, nothing wrong with the pricing for the 3p on your Power Plus subscription. Still, Abergavenny and Swansea hasn't opened, and talk about that later when I look at the future of EV charging. A little bit different format than previously. We've got this new Tesla opening up. Pretty much standard thing on the DC charging. Bit of a change on AC charging, and in particular Konnected Kerb. Depending on what part of the country you're in, you can now get prices have changed from 50p a kilowatt hour, 24 hours a day, through to smart charging, where off peak, that's 12 midnight till 7 a.m, it's 47p a kilowatt hour, so a little bit of a drop, but it's not going to compete against the Tesla, not going to compete against Ionity. It's not even going to compete really against the BP Pulse because of the speed of charge. These are 7 kilowatt chargers, 30 miles per hour charging. Not a great deal, no good for this job. Even their 22 kilowatt chargers will only deliver 90 miles per hour. So to get a full charge on this, I'd have to be there for 4 hours. I could lose a lot of money sat waiting for 4 hours. So that drop, probably not going to make much of a difference. But to pay for that off-peak drop, they've increased the price of their peak time charging to 52p. So it's going to. So if you've got smart charging in your area, it's peak time is 52p a kilowatt hour, off-peak 47p a kilowatt hour. If you don't yet have that smart charging, it's 55p, so it's 50p a kilowatt hour, 24 hours. So why did I call it smart charging? You've got to laugh at this. It's because you can park your car in the spot at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, plug it in, and on the app, you can tell them not to charge till midnight. And then it'll charge at midnight till 7 a.m. Despite the fact you've been parked there since lunchtime. Not sure that's a good idea. It's one thing to have your car EVs iced by petrol cars. It's quite another one for EV chargers, EV drivers to be using EV charging points as a daytime car park and not charging for 6 or 7 hours later. It's not going to be a good one. But this is how desperate the government and how desperate these AC charging companies are to get people to plug in. They're not going to plug in, and we'll talk about that when I look at the future of AC after I've done this charge at Tesla, because AC charging is obsolete, it's come to an end, it's not going to be used, and in 5 years, I guarantee you this is my prediction for the future, in 5 years, having an AC charger in your EV will be an optional extra that has to be factory fitted. Cars in China are already being produced for the domestic market with no AC charging. They don't want it. It's too slow. It's not being used. And we'll come on to that in a little bit. Because for China, what you've got to think of is in the UK, in urban areas, let's disregard the rural areas, just look at the urban areas, 55% of people who live in an urban area do not have the facility for home charging. 55%. In China, it's 85%. The Chinese manufacturers are doing their best to make charging an EV as quick, as simple and as easy as filling up with petrol. And them doing that technology, and it's happening right now in China. 650 kilowatt charging cars, 650 kilowatts, putting 200 miles into your battery in under 10 minutes. And this country is still trying to get 7 kilowatt chargers installed. But we'll talk about that after we've done this charge at Tesla. Okay, so we've arrived at the Teslas. They do look like they're V4 chargers. Plenty of space. Chargers are offset almost in the middle. Longer leads. We should connect up, no problem at all. Let's have a quick look at the stats. So 6 degrees C, 7% battery left, and 14 miles. So we're giving these Tesla chargers a really good opportunity to ramp up the charging. So let's plug in and see what happens. Yeah, very easy to plug in. Loads of cable length, reversed in, connected up straight away, no problems. Charging at 44p kilowatt hour. I've connected up on the app, and let's see. So it's given me 53 minutes to 90% charge. We've gone straight up to 64 kilowatts. We'll see if it breaks that 98 kilowatt ceiling we have on. If it stops at 98 kilowatts speed, then we're probably on the V3 charging cabinets. Or if it is V4, then they've been restricted to the 400 volt system. So let's see what happens in the next 52 minutes. Okay, you've been going now for about 8 minutes. Standard 66 kilowatt all the way through that 8 minutes. We're up to 19%. We will go any faster. Might do once the battery warms up. But I've just been looking at the Designer Village website, and if you don't have Tesla subscription, these off-peak are 59p a kilowatt hour, and peak time 79 pence a kilowatt hour. Now they have other chargers in the complex, and they charge a flat 60p kilowatt hour 24 hours. So there's probably been some sort of deal going on to make Tesla the same prices as other chargers if you don't have a subscription. And because it's priced quite high, 79, I've never heard of a Tesla charging 79p a kilowatt hour. Because it's priced quite highly, that means even with your membership, it's going to be quite highly priced. Looking at the charging rate, I think these are V3 cabinets, and the V4 chargers are the V3 cabinet. We'll see what happens as we press on, but we're up to 20% charge in 9 minutes, 50 seconds. But yeah, quite expensive for Tesla, but Really nice, nice pumps. Great being able to park up and not take up 2 spots. My guilt levels have disappeared. Fantastic. We'll have a quick look around locally, but we're right next to the Odeon Theatre. Nothing really close by for coffee while we charge. We've got a Sainsbury's over the road. The Sainsbury's petrol station over the road. Probably further on down will be a Sainsbury's superstore. But I'll jump out and have a look in just a few minutes. But there's nothing in sight for me to go and get a coffee. We've hit 22% and battery's beginning to warm up a bit. And we're now charging at 70, 71. It should start to go up now a little bit more, and we'll soon find out if we break that 98 kilowatt barrier that we get with the V3s. Okay, so we've got up to 47% and we've just hit 96 kilowatts. We'll see if it goes much faster than that. Normally it's 98 on a Tesla with 400 volt charging. If it's 800, it's going to go up a little bit higher than 98. We'll wait and see. Still 24 minutes to go. Right, so let's have a quick look at the site. 12 chargers, V4 cabinets, not cabinets, V4 chargers, loads of space for the on the hose or the cable for practically any of the cars really. You got the Odeon there and Sainsbury's over there, and no doubt the Sainsbury's superstore will have a nice, although Sainsbury's are closing all of their cafes, so I'm not sure about a coffee shop. But way over there in between the trees I can see McDonald's, so there's something there for snack and eating if you go and take an hour to charge up. Yeah, really nice being able to park up, charge up without taking up 2 spaces at the Tesla station. So there you go, plenty of play in that lead, and it's nice having a charger midway along the parking space. Forgotten about that, Sainsbury's are closing all of their cafes, so having that Sainsbury's over there isn't going to provide you with a nice coffee and cake while you charge up. There is a McDonald's about 5 minutes walk across the road. But there's not really anything within reach. You could go down to the Odeon. I suppose the Odeon will have a coffee shop. Although Odeons tend to be quite expensive. So, how are we doing on the charge? Oops, so there we are. We've 38 minutes, 42 seconds. Still charging at 85 kilowatts. Dropped down from that 92. And we've spent £19.30 so far, and we're at 66%. And that gives me about 160 miles of range at the moment. I'm averaging 3.21 miles per kilowatt. But it is 6 degrees, so as the weather starts to warm up now, hopefully we'll start to get back up to around the 4.5 miles per kilowatt. I start getting a bit more economy going in the car. Right, so we've just hit 68% and we've gone back up to 96 kilowatt, 97 kilowatt. So we are about to find out if these are set up for 800 volt cars. So we're now at 70% and we're bouncing around the 96, 97 kilowatt charging rates. So we'll see and if we can break that 98. Okay, so we've hit 80% and we're down to 74 kilowatt. It might pop back up, it does on Ionity, but it's not broken 97 kilowatt. So I think these are tuned in for 400 volt systems at Tesla One. So it's 6 degrees C, maxing out at about 97, which I do get at Tesla, 98 down at Celtic Manor, 98 down at Carmarthen, and 97 here, so nothing too unreasonable. A reasonably decent charge, straightforward, easy to pick up, easy to connect up. 7 minutes to go, and it's coming at 65 kilowatts. So far, pricing is £24.39, and we've been on 46 minutes. Okay, we're just into the last 3 minutes of charging up, down at 42 kilowatt. 87, 25.99, 50 minutes. But let's have a quick look at the competition here. So these are probably the fastest charges at the Designer Village. You've got raw charging, which are 22 kilowatt chargers. Those are at 60p. If you don't have Tesla membership, this is 79p peak time, and what is that, 69p peak off peak. The other one you have are the Sainsbury's smart chargers. Those are at 75p. And that's it really. I think there's a couple of other little chargers around, but yeah, quite expensive, but that's probably down to the rents that Tesla has to pay to come onto this site. No doubt there's some sort of restrictions that they can't be too cheap compared to Sainsbury's, who are probably big rent payers, so they'll be protected a little bit. Definitely set up for 400 kilowatt 400 volt charging. 800 volt charging, like on this car, you're going to be limited to about 97 kilowatt charging. So let's have a quick look here at Bridgend Designer Village. Next time I come out, I'll park up, plug in and go for a wander. I've stayed in the car today because I wanted to keep an eye on how fast we charge. It's not for V4 cabinets, V4 chargers, V3 cabinets probably. Limited to 400 volts. So let's head back home now. We're just about to come to an end of the charge. Head back home and we'll have a look at AC charging. What's happened to pod points? And why have we, you and me, the taxpayer, invested and taken an equity share in Konnected Kerb when it's old tech, old stock, and not that practical for most people? Okay, there you are. Let's look at the details on that. Bridgend date, 17th to date, 53 minutes, £26.78, going from, was that 8%? Going up to 90%, give me 221 miles. So that's it, let's head home.
So this is how we end up, shades of blue and gray. I feel just like an empty bottle, my dreams are on delay. I just wanna climb on top of a hill and throw it all away, away. Take me far away before my mind spins off and I am all derailed, derailed. Just drive all the way to the rainbow's end. Just drive, and we'll never turn our backs again. So this is how we end up. The game is set to play. Every day remains the same now. One decision we obey. I just wanna climb on top of a hill and throw it all away, away. Take me far away before my mind spins off and I am all derailed.
Hi, so let's now move on to the next stage, which is just my thoughts about where charging is going, public charging is going, and why I think AC charging is obsolete. Next generation of Chinese cars are about to come out. A lot of them don't have AC charging ports as standard. So why is it that Britain and the UK and you and me, the taxpayer, have just invested £55 million into Konnected Kerb to expand their AC curbside charging. Hands up, how many of you have actually seen a curbside charger in use? Rarely do I see one, very rarely. Most of them are no more than spider homes. And this is what we've just spent £55 million on, in the same speech that Rachel Reeves said this about bat boxes, also bat tunnels and the HS2.
The problems in our economy, the lack of bold reform that we have seen over decades, can be summed up by a £100 million bat tunnel built for HS2. The type of decision that has made delivering major infrastructure in our country far too expensive and far too slow.
So if she's upset about £100 million being spent on a bat tunnel, why has she just signed a cheque to give AC charging network £55 million when it's an obsolete technology? It's 22 kilowatt maximum. That's maximum of £90 and 90 miles an hour you can put on the car. Most are around the 7 kilowatt charging rates. That's 20 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour maybe. Who's going to plug in a car for that? At supermarkets, you go down and see Pod Point, and I'm coming on to Pod Point now, and you'll rarely see a car plugged in. I've had my Ioniq 5 now for 10 months. I don't have home charging. And I have probably used the AC charger on that in 10 months 6 times. Now, I charge every day. On occasions, I'll charge twice a day. And on some occasions, if I have a lot of airports on, I'll charge 3 times a day. I don't use AC charging. Pointless. The only time I've used AC charging 6 times. Once was just to give it a try and see if it works. I did once when I got stuck in Brecon, where the only 50 kilowatt charger was out of order and had no choice but to use the 7 kilowatt to get enough miles on to get to the nearest DC charger. Twice I used it to check that it was still working and not working after I had a 12 volt battery upgrade, and another time I used it for just content on this channel. It's not something I use, and I'll tell you why. First time I tried it, I was going shopping. It takes me about an hour to do the shopping in the supermarket. I had to unravel all the cables, plugging it in, play about with the Pod Point app, go shopping, come back, unravel all the cables. Got dirty, it was raining, it was cold, my hands got dirty. The cable was wet and soaking, there was dog shit on it, there was leaves on it, there was mud on it. It was a pain, and I swore then I'd never use it again. And I'll try not to, unless it's an absolute emergency. It is not convenient, it is not fast, because after an hour, I'd only had 18 miles extra pull on the charger. What's the point for 18 miles of going through all that aggro? It's not there, it's not going to happen. So that's why I think AC charging is out of date. Now, they'll say, yes, but you can park up overnight and charge up overnight. And I'll say to that, well, I didn't buy a car to spend 20 minutes a day walking to the car at a charging point. I'm also not going to leave a car parked up overnight in the areas that some of these chargers are in, because a local crackhead will wander down thinking, oh, I can get £3.50 for the copper out of that cable, and that'll leave me with a £3,000 bill to repair the charging port where he's trying to yank out the cable. Not practical, too much crime in many areas for that. So I won't do that. I bought a car for it to be convenient, not for me to go walking every time to get to the car. So it's not practical, too slow, too expensive. Why am I going to pay 55 pence a kilowatt hour on a 7 kilowatt charger when I can go down to the Tesla and pay 37p a kilowatt hour and have it charged up in 40 minutes? You know, it's not practical. And this is why I say AC charging is obsolete. In 5 years' time, the only thing you're going to be, if you want AC charging for home charging, you will have to pay an optional extra for factory fitted AC charger. And the new VAT rule will hasten this, because it costs about £3,000-4,000 in technology and hardware for AC charging in a car. If the car manufacturers can get rid of that AC charger as a standard fixture, they can reduce the price of a car. Now, with the £40,000 luxury car tax in, Chinese companies are always looking at cutting prices, and they'll look at it and go, well, we can offer this as standard purely with a DC charger, and we could bring it down below that £40,000 luxury car tax. That means people can save a substantial amount of money on new car luxury car tax, because we can sell at 38,000 instead of 43,000. So that's what I think will hasten this move to remove AC charging from cars quicker. And there was moves not so long back for the Chinese companies to actually remove AC charging. Sealy, one of the biggest conglomerates of EV cars, had planned to remove AC charging this year from cars as standard, until somebody piped up and said, yeah, but the UK, they only have 7 kilowatt, and that's what I'm investing in. They don't have the infrastructure to run DC charging. And you can imagine the announcement that made at the Sealy boardroom level. Sealy chairman stands up. We can now make cars, EV cars, that can put 200 miles onto your battery in under 10 minutes. There's no need now for AC charging. Most of our customers in China who live in urban areas don't have AC charging. Let's remove the AC chargers. Excuse me, Mr. Boss. What about Britain? What about Europe? They don't have these magical high-speed networks. We have to keep the AC charging in for the home chargers, because only people who can charge at home are buying the cars at the moment. You can imagine the reaction in the Chinese boardrooms.
They are clearly a most primitive people.
So why else do I think AC charging is on the way out? Let's look at Pod Point. What on earth's happening to Pod Point? I've just bought some shares in it, and I'll tell you the reason why I bought some shares in it. I have, at my age, a lot of my shares is in good, solid, strong stock, delivering a dividend. That's an income. But I do still have a small pot where I play about with trying to play the markets for a bit of growth. Now in January, because I have a lot of energy stocks, I got fed some data and market chatter about Pod Point taking a big drop in share price again. So I looked at it. I thought, well, maybe always buy on the dip, sell on the up. Pod Point, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, was trading at £2.80 plus a share. Today, when I bought in, back last month, January, 10.88 pence I bought at. In 2 years, it's dropped from £2.80 down to 10.88 pence. It's recovered a little bit, not by much, and by about a penny a share. And that's despite the fact that just a couple of weeks ago, Pod Point announced that it was the first registered flex wholesaler of electricity in the UK. What that means is that they want to encourage their EV car drivers who plug in at night to have a two-way charger so they can buy in cheap electric during the night time, sell it back to the grid during the daytime, and then make a little bit of a profit. And of course, Pod Point will make a little bit of a profit for being a wholesaler. Two issues with that. One is, if you've got an EV, you want to use it during the day, and you're not going to put it at risk of running out of charge by selling the electricity back to the grid. Two, one of the biggest concerns of EV owners
is battery degradation. Now, why are you going to use your battery in your EV car to buy and sell electricity, storing, constantly charging, recharging, decharging, and putting your battery at risk? I don't think so. And this is probably why, when they released that data, it had no effect on the market price. The market was not impressed, because who's going to do it? If you've got an EV car, are you going to risk losing all of your value by deteriorating your battery by using it as a recharger back up to the grid? No, you're not. If you have an EV car, are you going to want to leave it plugged in or lose all your charge in the morning peak hour so you can't use it in the afternoon because you've sold all your electricity back to the grid? No, you're not. No impact at all on the share price. But because it's dropped so much, and I'm not giving financial advice here, I'm not saying buy, sell or anything like that, this is purely my opinion. Because it's dropped so much in the last 2 years, Pod Point, I believe, is either going to go bust or it's going to be subject to hostile takeover, and the parts are now worth more than the whole, and it'll just be taken over in a hostile takeover, split up and sold off. That's the options, 2 options. I'm banking on that it's going to be taken over and I can make a quick buck and sell my shares on the hostile takeover and make a bit of a profit that way. But I haven't bought a lot because it might just as easily go bust as well. So I won't lose a vast amount. But that's a chart for Pod Point. Stock price has crashed. It's heavily involved in the AC market. It's got a few DC 50 kilowatt DC chargers, but basically it's all AC charging, home charging. Home charging network, their home charging division performed particularly badly because people aren't buying second-hand AC chargers. So AC chargers for second-hand EVs. So price reflects that. They've got some value in the locations of the AC chargers. So it would be something good for some, say, Eon to buy it up and install their chargers at the Tesco's and other Pod Point locations, fast chargers, modern chargers, chargers doing at least 100 kilowatt charging. That could be a good option for them. But Pod Point, I think, is finished as it stands at the moment. If you look at China, you're not going to get your 7 kilowatt chargers iced. You're not going to sit there for hours in a supermarket to get 20 miles added on the clock. They've now got robot autonomous charging units that roam the streets and roam the car parking lots for cars that need charging. So you park anywhere you want and the charger comes to you. The charge at 100 kilowatts. Most people take it out to do the shopping in the supermarkets. Go out, do your shopping, come back, the chargers come along, charged up your car, 100 kilowatts, you got a full charge in an hour. That's not what you're going to get with AC charging. So AC charging's obsolete.
充电桩的话，它是比较固定嘛，车位。这个移动机器人的话，我车随便停哪个车位都能充，还是确实是对我们网约车司机来讲还是非常方便的，也快捷。
我们今年还会陆续的投放很多智能的，比如说智能充电机器臂、自动去对接车辆，还有无线充电等等这些新的技术，我们国家电网都将在 很多场景里面去试用、去开发、去应用，在我们整个城市打消我们那个充电焦虑。
So let's look at the next generation of cars about to hit the UK and European markets. Out of spec reviews went to China recently, a couple of weeks ago, and looked at some of the cars that are currently operating in China and about ready to come across to the UK and to Europe. So let's have a quick look at this. I would recommend you got the link below, sign up, subscribe to Out of Spec Reviews, great channel, and you'll find out just how behind we are in the UK compared to China. But let's have a look at the next generation of cars about to hit the UK.
These Zeekr dispensers are freaking awesome. It says 840 kilowatts. Oh, a ding, and we are charging. 400 kilowatts right there, Drew. New out-of-spec record for sure. Welcome to China. So there's a lot of innovations. It's an all-electric or all-aluminum platform here. It's built on SEPA 2.0, so that's sort of their second generation of architecture. And we'll tell you what the heck is in this thing. So you can choose one of two batteries. You can choose a roughly just under 80 kilowatt hour LFP battery pack, somewhere around there, 80 kilowatt hour-ish. And then you can get a just around 100 kilowatt hour NMC pack. And the NMC pack is a 3C charging. In fact, I think it's like 3.1C charging. So it's like just over 300 kilowatt charging performance. But most importantly is the curve. And that's one thing that we know from the Xpeng X9 that's in China. They just charge deep into the pack at pretty good power. So this thing should hold an average charging power from 10 to 80% of over 200 kilowatts. And I think the sweet spot, according to our friends at evkx.net.com, don't know, but they always publish battery charging specs. They use a lot of our testing actually and publish it on their site. They're awesome. From like 7 to 60%, you're just maxed out. So that's a pretty good charging curve. In China, it's not industry leading. Actually, the Zeekr Mix, sort of a little bit smaller version of this car, of course, but the Zeekr Mix can get the golden battery, and that can charge 10 to 80 in under 10 minutes. Almost class-leading charging performance in America. Here in China, it's okay, just okay, but still totally acceptable. And Xpeng has their own group of chargers. They've actually partnered with BP recently here in China to expand the network and bring it all holistically under control. But the charging performance is truly insane on the 75 kilowatt hour, again, Zeekr golden brick battery, golden battery, and that's an LFP pack. You can also spec an NMC pack in this, which is the long range version, but it doesn't charge as fast, but it's still fast charging. That's one of those CATL Chillin battery, Chillin, don't know how to pronounce, but that one also should charge fast. Not sure of the specs on that one. The one I would actually go for, especially living here in China, is the small 75 kilowatt hour pack that's in this one, because most driving is just in these cities. You're really going slow. There's speed cameras everywhere. And as far as I can tell, Chinese people just don't drive as far as Americans on a regular basis. Then when you get to a fast charger, you just want to zap it up and get the heck out of there. And that's what this is absolutely perfect for. I also like that it's LFP. You can care about it less than the NMC. That probably requires a little bit more thought and care to longevity. And so this is probably the spec I would go for, even in this color. Absolutely love this fun color on this particular one. So there's going to be a bigger version of the golden battery coming, is my understanding. It should be around 95 kilowatt hours, and that's going to charge at 520 or 540 kilowatt peak. And I've heard reports of maybe even closer to 600 kilowatt peak. It's like the same cell, just with more capacity, so the overall input power can go up while stressing the cell the same. Coming around to charging, this one being a Chinese spec has GBT, so you have 22 kilowatt AC, which is the small port on the right. Then you have up to 410 kilowatt DC fast charging on the left.
That's what we're talking about.
So the LFP pack in this one is 65 or 70 kilowatt hours, something like that, but it's not the golden battery. It's like a pretty normal size charging battery. The one you want to get is the NMC pack in this, which is the 100 kilowatt hour pack. You get more range, and it's 4C charging, so 400 kilowatts on a 100 kilowatt hour pack, which I think makes sense. And you factor in sort of the big range that you can get out of this. and the crazy charging, and you have yourself a incredibly fast road tripper, and it's a smart car. It's like a pretty cool option. Seats are very comfortable. Overall, feels nice. I'd rather have this than an ID4 as an example.
Oh yeah, sure. ID4 is just, I just can't get excited about it at all.
Yeah, it's old. They charge slow. I mean, this 400 kilowatt charging.
That makes it attractive. I mean, that's that's really crazy. Maybe that'll just become the norm.
Yeah. So like Ioniq 5 EV6, the eGMP stuff are 10 to 80 in 18 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
This is 10 to 80 in 15 minutes on a much larger battery.
Oh, just amazing.
It's so cool. And we've got this nice little display here of the, look at the mix. Cruising 720 kilowatt chargers. When would you ever have that in the US? It's crazy.
So quite a few of these cars don't come with AC charging. It's an optional extra that you have to purchase and have fitted at the factory. And that's the way it's going to go. AC charging is not going to be standard on cars in the next 5 years. They'll start coming out next year or this year without AC charging, and you'll have to purchase extra. And they'll do that to bring it below the £40,000 luxury car tax market. They'll drop AC charging. They can make money, extra money by not installing it. They can bring prices down without installing it. And most people will happily charge at 400 kilowatts, where you can fill your battery up in 10 minutes and be on your way. And that's the way things are going to go. So why this government is investing £55 million in a dead dodo that's going nowhere. AC charging is not going to get any faster physically, and the laws of physics means it can't go any faster. It's going to be DC charging until wireless charging comes out. We are investing, or should I say we are spending and wasting money on a dead technology in this country purely for political reasons, so they can say they got 300,000 charging locations. The fact that nobody's going to be using them doesn't really matter. What matters is we've hit our target of 300,000 chargers. If this government was serious about getting people over to EVs, they would be investing in infrastructure. And by infrastructure, I mean the national grid. I know of at least two Ionity 350 kilowatt supercharger stations and hubs, which are just sitting there with no customers because the national grid can't connect it up. 2 350 kilowatt supercharger super hubs. That's what the money needs to be invested in, getting the national grid connecting up to these hubs that don't need any government grants to install, who are commercially viable, and who are future-proofed for future cars. Crazy that we're spending so much money on 7 kilowatt and 22 kilowatt AC chargers, £55 million for spider posts around your location. But that's it. There's a lot more I can talk about. Maybe I'll do that in the next March update, especially about local authorities who claim to have a climate emergency but do nothing about it. So let's have a look. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching the February update of EV charging.